Stop eating fruit in the morning if you actually want to protect your eyesight. I know that sounds backwards. Everything you've been told says, eat your fruit early, get your vitamins in for the day. But after 31 years as an eye doctor, watching thousands of patients walk through my door after their 60th birthday, I can tell you that when you eat certain fruits matters almost as much as which fruits you eat. And there are 3 in particular that, eaten in the hour or 2 before bed, do something remarkable for the aging eye that most doctors never explain to their patients. Before we go further, I want to say something, and I mean it sincerely. I read every single comment on these videos. Every one. So before we dive in, tell me 2 things down below. How old are you right now, and has anyone in your family dealt with vision changes as they got older? I ask because the patterns I see in the comments genuinely shape what I cover in future videos, and I want this channel to actually be useful to you, not just another health video you forget by tomorrow. Now here's why nighttime matters so much for your eyes specifically. While you sleep, your retina, the light-sensing tissue at the back of your eye, goes through repair and cleanup. Researchers who study circadian biology have found that a lot of cellular repair work, including in the eye, ramps up overnight. That means the nutrients circulating in your bloodstream while you sleep have a real shot at being used for repair, rather than just being burned for daytime energy and movement. Eat the right fruit at the wrong time, and a good chunk of its benefit may simply pass through you. Eat it before bed, and you give your eyes first access to exactly what they need during their most important repair window. And I'll tell you right now, the fruit at the very top of this list, the one I tell my own patients about constantly, is not the one you're expecting. It's not blueberries. Most people guess blueberries. It's something far more ordinary, sitting in your kitchen right now, that almost nobody associates with eye health at all. Stick with me, because we're counting down from 5 to 1, and by the time we get there, you'll probably want to go check your fruit bowl. Let's start at number 5. Number 5 is the orange, and specifically, I want you thinking about the white pith, not just the juicy segments most people toss aside. The orange is famous for vitamin C, and rightly so, but what almost nobody explains is why vitamin C matters so much more after 60 than it did at 30. Your eyes are constantly exposed to light, and light exposure generates something called oxidative stress, essentially tiny chemical rust reactions happening inside your cells, hour after hour, year after year. Think of your eye like an old car parked outside in the sun for 60 years straight. Some rust is inevitable, but vitamin C acts like a protective coat of wax, neutralizing a lot of that oxidative damage before it accumulates in the lens and the retina. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at recycling antioxidants on their own, so what we eat starts to matter more, not less. A little vitamin C before bed gives your eyes a fresh supply of that protective coating right as the repair shift begins overnight. For preparation, you don't need anything fancy. A fresh orange, eaten whole rather than juiced, an hour or 2 before bed is ideal because juicing strips out fiber and lets sugar hit your bloodstream too fast, which isn't what we want right before sleep. If you want to boost absorption, pair it with a small handful of almonds or a few walnuts. The healthy fat in nuts helps your body absorb certain fat-soluble companions that travel alongside vitamin C in whole fruit, making the whole package more effective together than either one alone. Now, number 5 was solid, but number 4 is where things get more specific to a problem that becomes shockingly common after 60, and most people have never even heard the term for it. Number 4 is the papaya, and I want to talk about something called zeaxanthin, which I promise I'll explain simply. Zeaxanthin is a yellow-orange pigment, a natural plant compound, that your eye actually concentrates directly in the macula, the small central part of your retina responsible for sharp, detailed vision, the kind you use for reading, recognizing faces, and driving. Your macula is one of the only places in your entire body that selectively pulls in this pigment and holds onto it like a built-in pair of sunglasses, filtering out the most damaging, high-energy blue light before it can harm the delicate cells underneath. Here's the problem. Your body cannot produce zeaxanthin on its own. None of it. Every bit has to come from food. And as we age, dietary habits often shift towards softer, more processed foods that are simply lower in these pigments than the diets we ate decades earlier. I think often of a patient of mine, Eleanor, 73 years old, from a small town outside Sacramento. Eleanor came in worried because reading her favorite mystery novels had become a chore. The words seemed to blur together by evening. After we talked through her diet, we added papaya most nights, timed before bed, alongside a few small dietary adjustments. Several months later, at her follow-up, she told me reading in the evenings felt noticeably easier, and she'd started finishing books again instead of giving up halfway through. I share her story not as a guarantee everyone's eyes and overall health are different, but as an example of how a small, consistent habit can genuinely make daily life feel different. For preparation, half a ripe papaya, cubed, about an hour before bed works well. The riper the papaya, the more concentrated the pigment tends to be, so don't be afraid of a papaya that's slightly soft to the touch. For synergy, a small drizzle of olive oil or a few avocado slices alongside it can help, since zeaxanthin is fat-soluble, meaning it needs a little dietary fat present to be absorbed efficiently into your bloodstream at all. We're halfway there. Number 3 is coming up, and this is where I need you to do something for me first, because what comes after this point in the list genuinely surprises most viewers. If this video is giving you something useful so far, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, and tap like before we continue. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people your age who are searching for real answers instead of empty promises, and it costs you nothing but a second of your time. All right, let's get into number 3. Number 3 is the kiwi. And this one is particularly important if you've ever heard your eye doctor mention something called the macula again, but this time in relation to lutein, zeaxanthin's close cousin. Kiwi is one of the more concentrated, common fruit sources of lutein, and it also happens to carry a healthy dose of vitamin E, which works almost like a partner in protection alongside vitamin C. Here's why this combination matters more as we age. Your eye's natural antioxidant defense system, the internal machinery that mops up cellular damage, gradually becomes less efficient over the decades, partly due to a natural decline in mitochondrial function. Mitochondria are the tiny energy-producing structures inside every cell, often called the cell's power plants, and as they slow down with age, cells become more vulnerable to the very oxidative stress we talked about earlier. Giving your body lutein and vitamin E together in the hours before sleep helps support your eyes during the exact window when cellular repair is most active. For preparation, 2 ripe kiwis, skin removed, sliced about 90 minutes before bed is a good target. Kiwi skin is edible for some people, but many find it easier on digestion peeled, especially in the evening when you don't want anything sitting heavily in your stomach before sleep. For synergy, a small spoonful of plain yogurt alongside your kiwi can help, since the modest fat and protein content supports absorption of the fat-soluble nutrients we just discussed. Now we're getting close. Number 2 is genuinely one of the most underrated fruits I recommend to my own patients. And number 1, the one I teased at the very beginning, might be sitting in your fridge right now without you having any idea what it's quietly capable of. Number 2 is the pomegranate, specifically the seeds or arils, not just the juice. Pomegranate is rich in compounds called polyphenols, which are simply natural plant chemicals known for calming down chronic, low-grade inflammation in the body. Here's why that matters specifically for your eyes after 60. As we age, many of us develop a baseline level of inflammation throughout the body, sometimes called inflammaging by researchers, essentially a slow-simmering inflammatory state that didn't exist in our 30s or 40s. This low-grade inflammation can affect blood flow to small, delicate structures, including the tiny blood vessels feeding the retina. Pomegranate's polyphenols appear to help support healthier blood flow and calmer inflammatory signaling, which in turn may help support the retina's nutrient and oxygen supply overnight, exactly when repair processes are most active. I think of a patient named Walter, 68, a retired mechanic from outside Pittsburgh, who came to me mostly worried about his energy levels and some mild eye strain by evening. We talked about inflammation more broadly, and he started having a small bowl of pomegranate seeds most nights before bed as part of a few changes we made together. At his next visit, he mentioned, almost as an aside, that his eyes felt less tired by the end of the day, and that he'd noticed it himself before I even asked. Again, one person's experience, not a promise for everyone, but a pattern I've seen often enough to take seriously. For preparation, a half cup of fresh pomegranate seeds, eaten plain, about an hour before bed is plenty. No need to drown them in juice, which concentrates sugar without the fiber that makes whole arils so beneficial. For synergy, a few pieces of dark chocolate, at least 70% cacao, alongside your pomegranate seeds can actually complement the polyphenol content nicely, since cacao carries its own beneficial plant compounds that work along similar pathways. And now number 1, the fruit I mentioned at the start of this video, the one almost nobody associates with eye health. Number 1 is the humble banana. I know, after all that buildup, a banana feels almost anticlimactic, but stay with me, because this is exactly the kind of overlooked fruit that deserves far more credit than it gets. Bananas are one of the better common dietary sources of potassium, and most people only think of potassium in connection with muscle cramps or blood pressure. But potassium plays a quiet, essential role in regulating fluid balance throughout the body, including the delicate fluid pressure inside the eye itself. As we age, our bodies become somewhat less efficient at maintaining stable fluid and electrolyte balance overnight, and disruptions in fluid regulation have been associated with changes in eye comfort and pressure for some people. A ripe banana before bed offers a gentle, steady source of potassium right as your body settles into its longest stretch without food or water intake for the day. There's also a less obvious benefit here. Bananas contain natural compounds that support the production of melatonin, your body's primary sleep hormone. And better, deeper sleep itself is one of the most underappreciated factors in eye health after 60, because, as we've talked about throughout this video, your eyes do the bulk of their nightly repair work during sleep. A fruit that helps you sleep more soundly is, indirectly, also supporting your eyes simply by giving them more uninterrupted time to do their repair work properly. For preparation, one medium ripe banana about 30 to 45 minutes before bed tends to work well for most people, ripe enough that it's easy to digest, but not so overripe that it spikes blood sugar unnecessarily. For synergy, a small spoonful of natural peanut butter or almond butter alongside it can help slow digestion slightly and keep blood sugar steadier through the night, which supports more stable, restorative sleep. So there you have it, oranges, papaya, kiwi, pomegranate, and finally, the unassuming banana, all working in their own way during your body's quietest hours to support the eyes that have carried you through 60, 70, 80 years of seeing your children grow up, your grandchildren take their first steps, the sunrise over your own backyard 1,000 times over. I want to leave you with this. Independence, as we get older, often comes down to smaller things than we expect. Being able to read the label on a medicine bottle without asking for help. Recognizing a familiar face across the room. Driving yourself to see a friend instead of waiting on someone else's schedule. Your eyesight is woven into almost every part of staying independent, and it deserves the same attention you'd give any other part of your health. And here's what I want you to really sit with. It is never too late to start supporting your body better. Not at 60, not at 75, not at 89. Small, consistent habits like what you put on your plate in the hour before bed can genuinely add up over months and years. As always, the studies and sources I referenced today are linked down in the description if you'd like to read further yourself. And I genuinely encourage you to, because understanding the why behind these habits makes them so much easier to stick with. If this video helped you see your own health a little differently, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. And let me know in the comments, which of these 5 fruits are you adding to your nightly routine first? And is there a specific eye health topic you'd like me to cover in a future video? I read every comment, and I'll see you in the next one.